as we reimagine India's economic future and take the less traveled path, it is the education, skills, and health of our people, that is, the quality of our human capital, more than our bridges and airports, that will determine how rapidly we ascend the development ladder. Human capital will be essential, whether our businesses choose to focus on manufacturing or services, for the space for low-skilled or unskilled labor is shrinking rapidly today. India's challenges start early, with maternal and child nutrition. Many of our children are born underweight and then continue to be malnourished well into the first few years of their lives. In schools, primary education has cracked the problem of enrollment, but learning outcomes for our kids are poor. This combination of poor early health and learning constrains our children's growth, cognitively and physically, and limits how much they can absorb later in life. Over the last couple of decades, researchers from across the world have studied Indian data to propose solutions. Some went on to win the Nobel Prize along the way. Indeed, India's national education policy, put out in 2020, is both brief and offers clear proposals, many of which we agree with. The roadblock often has to do with implementation. Raghu recalls a joke that the South Korean executive director at the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, told him when Raghu marveled at how much South Korea had achieved, even though it had been as poor as India in the 1960s. The Indian finance minister was once on a trip to Seoul. In the Korean finance minister's office, the Indian minister asked him the secret of Korea's success. The Korean minister pointed to a set of thick black tomes lining the shelf behind. "It is all in there," he said. The Indian finance minister went closer to read their titles, laughed and said, "Why, these are our 5-year plans." Pat came the response, "Yes, but we implemented them." What hinders implementation? We have already argued that the political establishment, both at the center and at the state level, is much less concerned with providing public services, focusing instead on providing targeted benefits and freebies. Decentralization will help change this dynamic. Experimenting with different approaches, learning what works by gathering data, and rigorously evaluating them, engaging people by empowering and informing them, using technology wherever possible, and addressing incentives, including the vested interests in the system that resist change, will be key elements of the approaches we will suggest in this and subsequent chapters. Nutrition. A child is deemed stunted, too short for its age, if it falls below 2 standard deviations from the median height for age of the World Health Organization's Child Growth Standards. In 2020, after more than 3 decades of strong growth, an unacceptable 35% of our children younger than 5 years old were stunted. Many poorer countries in sub-Saharan Africa, such as Tanzania, Liberia, and Senegal, do better. Some have challenged this metric, arguing that Indians' genetics give them a different growth, that is, height for age pattern. Yet, Sri Lankans, who presumably come from similar gene pools, have a much lower level of stunting than Indians. And studies have found that South Asian children in the United States and the United Kingdom approach the mean height of their peers within 1 generation. So it is not entirely genetics. We are simply not feeding our pregnant mothers and children well enough.